direction. Give me some direction. Able minds are working, open hearts are learning. Give me some direction.
Thank you for creating some time.
Hi there. Thanks for having me. My name is Wout.
Where are you living right now? Where are you located in the world?
Belgium. Figuring out what I want to do is part of my journey for the last years, and I think Body Talk has definitely helped in that as well. And also this session, it helped me center and ground myself. Things that I see myself doing more of in the future are stuff like men's work, really coaching men into living their higher self and authentic life. I'm doing more with healthy food. I'm a vegan chef also. Here we have our coconut chia puff bars, which are nice, warm and crispy on the outside and fluffy and soft on the inside. Delicious. Yeah, I'm very much at the start of my career.
And where did you get certified in your food at was it Raw Food Chef or where was that?
Yes, that was as a raw food chef in Living Light Culinary Institute in California, Fort Bragg, exactly.
Was it a meaningful experience, and is food something that you're still passionate about and that you can see yourself doing moving forward?
Oh yes, oh yes. There's less interest than I would have hoped here when returning back from my journeys to Belgium. The interest is growing, so I'm thinking of traveling down that path further. Yeah, I'm a big fan of living authentically. I'm a 26 years old dude and I'm still figuring out stuff. So it's beautiful to be able to see how I can every day more authentically express myself and find new ways through doing that. You know, I'm exploring stuff like dancing and music. A month ago, I made my own shamanic drum at a workshop, and you know, I'm learning to use those tools then, for example, later on in men's work, or just to express myself and to take myself into another state of consciousness, perhaps through the drumming. So yeah, I'm just very much in an exploring state. And I was asking a lot of questions, just gaining wisdom where I can. And you were one of those dudes that answered with a lot of insight and depth. Someone suggested us to connect. And then from there on, we got talking about our mutual interests, like psychedelics and consciousness and healthy food and veganism. And we connected on so many levels. And eventually you shared a bit about Body Talk, which is this great system that really incorporates all kinds of healing methods like Ayurveda, chakras, osteopathy. Well, you really got me warm for it because it's so next level at the same time, and it involves also a lot of consciousness.
When you say next level, would you be open to elaborate more on what you mean by that?
Yeah, to me, it means that I don't think the system is very old. The creator of it really, when creating it, made sure that it was up to date with all the current science as well.
Yeah, that's one thing that I was inspired about it, because I was considering doing other modalities, and it's like once you get your certification, like that's it. And what I love about Body Talk is that they'll have Professor Pollack, who wrote the book The Fourth Phase of Water, come in, and then they'll bring that science and create a new course for us to, because everything, our whole worldview is constantly shifting, so it makes sense to me that a modality evolve with the science. Otherwise, it might become outdated or limited. Have you had remote sessions before, distant healing work?
Not really. Yeah, distant healing work got me kind of suspicious about will it work and what's all this stuff about, you know. You were willing to show me what it was like. Yeah, why not try it? And I did. The way you explained it, that allowed me to look at it and give it a proper shot.
So just the clarity of me explaining the science or just how the dynamics work, you felt comfortable moving forward? Or that everything's connected and you're like, I believe that everything is connected, so this is possible?
Both of those, yeah. As you were doing it remotely, I was just busy doing other things. Like I was just packing my bags to go to my apartment. I felt sensations in mainly around the pelvic floor. I've been working a lot around grounding. I think this amplified the work I've been doing there already.
When you say grounding, what is one example of what you're referring to so people who might not understand that terminology can learn what you're saying?
Yeah, to really be more present in the here and now in the body, not too much in the woo area of life, the heavenly stuff, everything's great, just here and now, practical, realistic, grounded, present in the body,
Mm-hmm. You've been working on that grounding, and then during the session, you noticed a body sensation in your pelvis or the muscles, or what specifically?
The muscles around the pelvic area, something shifting, and
Energy moving.
yes, I felt changes occurring in the brain area, and it was kind of weird because I felt the pressure building up in my brain, like my brain was pressed against my skull.
Wow.
That happened for like half an hour, and then it shrunk a little again. I don't know what that was, but I feel like it's a good thing, changes in the brain.
Interesting.
So after the first remote body talk session we had, I felt a flushing like in my cheeks. They became warm and they looked very red. Probably a sign of just toxins being released or inflammatory response coming up, or I don't really know what. Just energetic sensations going on in my body on all kinds of places, mainly the pelvic floor, but also my left leg started shaking a bit, felt some heat in my feet. So again, around the lower parts in my body, I felt energy moving. Yeah. I had a very busy day and I felt like there's a lot of things going on, but I wasn't able to really stay with myself during that day. Eventually, near the end of the day, I just sat down with myself and allowed myself to feel what I had been avoiding all day. And I sat down on the bed and I just felt something hard, pressured point in my solar plexus. And I sat with it, and the insight came all of a sudden that it was hard for me to fully accept that I'm a Belgian. I don't know why, but really embodying that I'm a Belgian. I was born here. I will probably live here, and the whole idea that I'm accepting that I'm a Belgian. And I talked with it about it with my friends actually, and they said that they have the same thing going on, where it's like, oh, it would be cooler to live in London or in Berlin, but not in Belgium. So I had this thing that it's okay for me to be Belgian and to accept, instead of trying to make all my websites on the projects I do in English, maybe try to make them in Dutch and make them very Belgian. So I tried that out, see what that is.
Wow, I feel inspired hearing that. Yeah, that's definitely something that it's a gift of shared reality. I've gone through that identity shifting, having one family that's from Scandinavia, one family that's from Mexico, and and then coming to a place of like, you know what, like I have always kind of just created what I am drawn towards and what I'm fascinated with, and so I just roll with that. And so that's inspiring to hear that you're rolling with your roots. Is your ancestral line, are they from Belgium?
Most of them. So I did a DNA checkup, and apparently my DNA is like 40% German and 45% French, and then a little bit Irish. That basically means that I'm from Belgium because the website doesn't allow Belgians. I went to the Netherlands to do the test, so Belgium is not even in their system. I conclude that I'm just normal Belgian dude with Belgian ancestry.
So they don't even have Belgian as an option in the thing? They've erased it from the system?
Yeah.
What the heck, man?
Because it's illegal here to do the human genome test in Belgium. So I had to go to the Netherlands.
I didn't know that. Okay. It's the first time I learned that. Interesting. Wow. Okay, so another thing that was brought up during the session was to balance the right stomach meridian, specifically point 40. And this had to do with digesting life and balancing the consciousness of conscious thinking. And it was also an orientation to mom's repressed emotions.
It's funny actually, because as you were sharing this, I was driving my car with my mother right next to me, and she heard you say like, yes, your mother's repressed emotions. It was like a bit of an awkward moment, but she didn't really care eventually.
Who is this person? What are they talking about on the phone while you're driving?
Yeah. What do they know about my repressed emotions? My mother, she's a professor in psychology. She's been working very hard for most of her adult life. And I can totally see that being a reality when you say she has repressed emotions.
And just to clarify, it's like in that environmental factor of mom's repressed emotions is influencing the way that that point in the stomach meridian is able to help your body in digesting life.
When I was younger and I was around her, she was always a bit anxious in general when she was around work because she was very time pressured. But I think that it probably had an impact on my development as well.
From the meridian, this actually linked to the physical stomach to balance assimilation and worry thinking. And then this was linked to a vital body anatomy that we have the capacity to work with in Body Talk that's called the vibe axis. There's two forms of vibe axis. There's an environmental vibe axis. There's a birth vibe axis. And birth vibe axis came up as a priority for your body to balance. And this was addressing the emotion of depression in a childbirth event, unfamiliar people, and then balancing brain anatomy to the psychoneuroimmunology apparatus that was compromised during childbirth. Even though you weren't there, right, and the conscious mind wasn't yet developed, is there anything that you'd like to add to that, or do you see how it's possible, or any people that you've read or books that talk about that? Or
the idea of vivaxis was quite new and an interesting concept to learn about. Also, I do know that when I was born in the hospital, there weren't any rooms available for my mother to be born in. So she was born in some kind of cupboard room. I was born into some kind of cupboard room. Maybe I didn't really feel like I'm welcome here because I'm born into this separate little room. There's really no place for me to be born in this hospital. Maybe also, yeah, the people are strange. Of course, when you're born in a normal hospital, it's not like
home.
Yes, exactly.
A family's house.
Yeah, a family's house, or being born in the, how they do with the water thing, where you're born in a bath and stuff. I would have loved that, actually.
From that birth vibe axis, your body then link that to the environmental vibe axis. And so when it does that, it's the body saying that there's factors in the environment that are affecting the way that this vibe axis is calibrated, like just like how a compass is calibrated to true north. The book's called The Vibe Axis Connection if you want to learn more about it. There's a lot of research about dowsing and how that connects to the vibe axis in our subtle or vital body anatomy. And basically it works like a compass. And so if that vibe axis is off, then the body will say this is a priority to calibrate. And there have been case studies where the birth vibe axis or the vibe axis is balanced to environmental factors, the communication is reestablished. And then these concepts of being homesick or longing for a place or something is usually just because, and if you think about it, if this compass or our energy field is off calibration, we might be facing or intending or attention in a certain direction for something that in which we don't want, and then we're like, why is this happening? And then we find that if we balance the vibe axis, there's that more grounding. The person feels more at home in their body or in their environment, or they're less charged to disturbing factors in their environment. So from the birth vibe axis, it was linked to environmental vibe axis and balancing you to disassociate from this belief that I'm not good enough and my body isn't really that important to receive anything. And also another belief of I'm not wise enough. You can see that linking into the birth thing of where you were born and how maybe that factored into the creating those types of beliefs later on. And I remember in the car you laughed and you're like, oh man.
It's funny because my apartment, I got a library with 100 books, and actually last year I had a period where I read so many books that eventually I just realized that I was not going to find the answers I was looking for in the books. I was on this personal development journey, reading Eckhart Tolle, and eventually I realized that for me the answers right now are more to be found in everyday life and building skills. instead of reading more. Maybe it had to do with not feeling wise enough.
And that was something that you experienced, that like, even though I'm reading all these books, something's not happening and I need to switch it up.
Yes.
So then that was linked to clearing a phobia of the world not having enough resources. And so I'm making it worse by needing things because, you know, it takes resources for me to get my needs met.
Makes total sense about what I'm going through right now. As I'm feeling financial pressure in my life, I do also have beliefs that come with that just pop into my mind, and it's a challenge to keep me being fully present and feeling abundance when you have the bank account showing you other things.
From hearing us talk, it sounds like that the shift kind of occurred where you started accepting yourself and where you are in the world, developmental wise, and where you are geographically, and that by just owning what, you know, the universe, creator, whatever terminology you want to use, designed you as, is that you're it. And that, do you sense that where it's like, I'm reading all these books, I'm seeking to get better, and then going like, oh shit, I already am. Maybe I'll just be me, and now the universe can actually work me.
Yeah. And yeah, it's a tricky thing, the personal development world.
So then that just linked to balancing the small intestine anatomy and turning off these TNF inflammatory proteins, lymphocytes there, and balancing the vagus nerve and the mucosa lining. And this is one of the interesting things at the end of this link, was that there was an orientation about work that your small intestine was patterning or holding there, that the body communicated as a priority to face and address, bring into the conscious mind through the body talk session. And the work orientation was searching for improvements while barely resting to celebrate the things that are going well.
Yeah, and it's funny because over the last months, my dad has been telling me every time I came home, he told me just basically one message, and it was just enjoy yourself out, enjoy yourself, have fun. And I kept coming to him with, I don't know what to do with my life and my work and da da da. And that's just the one message he's been sending me. So when I heard you say that, it was like, oh fuck, it's like confirmation again. Yeah.
Yeah, and it ties in beautifully with your value of self-care in the form, more specifically, of meditating and just being still and sitting in your body. That self-acceptance that I heard you about, where it's been the shift of, oh, I want to go to San Francisco, or I want to go to California, or what is London doing, instead of in pulling that energy and bringing it back into Wout. And then from there, that radiance, just the natural byproduct is just abundance. You already are abundant. Like
All I can say is that I've been processing a lot of emotions, tons of crying, so much crying, feeling, to realign myself again to authenticity and to listen to myself more again. And, there were some things that were pretty spot on that you shared with me, that I became aware of only after you shared them. Yeah, maybe you can elaborate on those.
Yeah, and so some of them were included the birth stress and learning that, your mom had a different room that you were birthed in that wasn't a quote unquote regular room where people go have birth in at the hospital. And just improving this communication in the limbic brain from getting the amygdala, one of the vigilant centers of the brain that's always scanning the environment for a threat, to just balance the concept of safety and paranoid and worry, linking that to the basal ganglia, balancing the emotion of overwhelm, and balancing some anatomy of the thalamus in the brain and the sensory information. The other detail was balancing the body chemistry, the body identifying medication as a toxin that you were taking, and how it was affecting a certain part of the brainstem called the locus ceruleus. And so just balancing that.
Yeah, so seeing the methodology in action gave me great insight on how to be a better listener by learning about, silent and mirroring empathy when someone is talking. It taught me also how to make a request to see if someone is willing to give me silent or mirrored empathy when I just need to share something.
And so in the past before that, what would be a scenario that happened where you weren't making the request for like, hey bro, hey, a friend or roommate, could I get silent or mirrored empathy? What would usually be the result of that?
Yeah, it's still kind of new to me because I think for a lot of people it's quite out of the ordinary if you say, hey, do you just want to give me some silent empathy? You're like, I can imagine you feeling like, okay, I'll just act like a doll. Um, and actually, it still is my intention to try it out more. It feels a bit uncomfortable at this moment, but doing it with you showed me the possibility that it is possible to do it with two human beings.
Was it reassuring that this is possible, like among men, that
Yeah.
we can actually, like as men, we can make a request to another male friend and go, I'm going through some shit right now. Like, would you be open to just hear me talk for like 5 minutes without any advice? Because like everybody, when I try to talk about things, I'm just processing things. Everybody just wants to give me fucking advice all the time, and I really just need someone to listen to me for 5 minutes, and that would just mean the world to me. Can you do that, please?
In general, people undervalue it, I think.
The undervalue giving empathy or requesting it?
Requesting it.
Is that something like you notice in Belgium where communication in your family or the country, like you notice or sense that in like the city or out in public places, how the culture influences the family dynamic of communication, and then the family dynamic then influences the individual self-talk and the way that they talk with other people?
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's very Belgium related.
What is a Belgian related characteristic?
Not being open, not openly sharing, not openly asking, just that.
Just either assuming or shutting down are like the only two modes in Belgium as far as communication.
People just are pretty close, here in Belgium, yeah.
So empathy has been supportive in these types of environments where it's like it's not so commonplace that hey, this is possible. I can do this with a friend online, or I could create my own group. Is that something that you would like to do in men's work, is to help build up the throat chakra and communication to help men who are kind of closed down and feel like the only way, it's like, oh, I gotta shove this shit down, that's the only option.
Definitely, and I've been trying to be an example because oftentimes when you are that person that is open and that does share really what is going on and share his truth, and other people will be more inclined to be open as well.
That's something that you want to do along with drumming and the men's work?
Yep.
Awesome.
For me, you're just a knowledge base. Okay, you do body talk, but the value you really add is the knowledge you have and the wisdom you bring. I mean, when working together with you, you do the work and the work is great, but you also go further than that. You share relevant information towards what you found out through body talk. So you share great videos and blog posts or articles. You are there to guide people through the process by being there when they need clarity or direction or empathy or support. I think it's very obvious that our planet, Mother Earth, is going through major crisis the last years and the last hundreds of years maybe, but now it's been very intense. I would love to see a world that is more aligned with nature, with Mother Earth, and so a world where there's a culture we persist on, for example, package-free shopping and eco-sustainable houses, tiny houses, plant-based food, where people just realize that they are part of nature as well, and that we don't have to live in this concrete jungle where everything's about technology and things are just polluted as fuck and everything is about money, money, money. Yeah, so I'd love to see, especially my part and vision where it's easier for people to eat healthy and local and seasoned grown vegetables. And also a world where all the men, my brothers, are standing in their truth and their power, and they're really living a mission and not just getting by or surviving, but I want to see men that are really living a mission and that feel like they have something to do here. You know, it's so sad when you see brothers just going through the motions instead of being inspired every day because they know what they're doing is actually contributing to the world and they feel useful, you know.
I feel inspired. What you said, I started a meetup group because I was looking and searching for different meetups to want to connect, and I had this deep need for belonging and community. And so I just ended up creating a meetup and presenting now topics and things that I enjoy that involve personal transformation or help me shift more into self-acceptance, self-care, and then to share that. And it's been really interesting to see that as soon as I communicate that, then people start showing up, because when we clearly articulate why it is what we believe, then people can see that, and we align ourselves with people who believe and value what we believe and value. And I totally agree that we need to build a world that does not yet exist, in a world where we wake up, we feel inspired and fascinated by what we're doing, we feel safe when we're there, and we return home fulfilled at the end of each day. I think one thing that I'm learning from this talk is that fulfillment comes from contributing to something larger than ourselves, and to have a reason to do what we do beyond just receiving money. Fulfillment to me comes from having a clear sense of purpose in what we do and being aware of why we do what we do. And that's what I am hearing among your words, is that a lot of people know what they do. Not that many people yet know why they do what they do. That's one of the things that I'm thankful that we can start exploring more about together. Something I've learned from Simon Sinek. He's got a YouTube video called Start With Why, and I encourage everyone to watch that, especially men who feel trapped, isolated, lonely, looking for clarity, looking for direction. It helps kind of just bring this kind of large, out of focus lens of our consciousness more into like a laser, and be able to have some meaningful impact that we all really crave. I'm very thankful to connect with you, and I appreciate all your honesty, and it's a huge gift of shared reality to share this with the world community via YouTube.
Thank you, my brother.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Oh, namaste. Oh, namaste. Oh, namaste. To everyone out there, to Wout, live long and prosper.
Yeah, brother. Take care. Peace.
Adios. Enjoy your day. Thank you for investing your time to watch this video. If you learned something new, please share it with people who share similar values. Your body heals itself, and I'll show you how.